It has been 2 months since I published my second romance novel, and I'm about to show you guys how much money an indie romance author makes. You shouldn't get too excited. I'm giving away the details before we even get there. But back there, as you can kind of see right now, that's my KDP dashboard with all of the juicy numbers that you're dying to see. But before I show you the exact nitty gritty details, I just want to talk to you a little bit about like what this whole journey has been like, how long I've been at this game, and the things that I have tried. Now, I will warn you, there has been no exact science to this. I have not nailed this down in any sense of the phrase. So I've essentially been throwing things at the wall very slowly and seeing what sticks. Not much has stuck so far. But this is the year we change that, which is why I'm doing this video. I think a lot of people would probably say, why show that? Like, number one, who cares? And number two, what difference does it make? Like, what significance does this have in the world? What value are you bringing by letting people see how much money you've made from publishing romance novels? And to that, I have to say, transparency is a very important thing, right? I think a lot of people will look at like social media numbers or comments that people get on a video or like reviews that come out on a book or how many people are or are not posting about a release and make assumptions based on those things. And I think a lot of times those assumptions are probably wrong for numerous reasons. And so I think having a certain kind of transparency can help people who want to stick their toe in the waters of self-publishing understand what they're getting themselves into. And also, I don't know, I think honesty is worth a lot in like the online business space. And I don't know, some people are just curious, and that's fine. I don't really, maybe I'll feel differently about this when I'm a best-selling author. But until then, I'm an open book. Maybe even then I will be an open book. I don't know. I don't know where this is going. Nonetheless, let me tell you what my approach has been so far. So I published my first romance novel back in June of 2022. Yes, it has been that long. I only have 2 books out. I am not a very fast writer. I'm moving my dog out of the way because he's doing things. Go, go, go. I'm not a very fast writer, never really have been, and so I do not rapid release. This last book that I put out, I didn't even know if I was going to release it at all, so it's a miracle that it's out in the world at this point. But yeah, June 2022, my first book released. I was, going hard on the TikTok game, posting videos pretty much every day. Trying to stick with the trends and figure out like what was working and what wasn't. But I do think I had a little bit of a like a confidence issue and a resistance to social media in general. So I would post and then I would feel weird about posting, or I would feel weird that like, am I bothering people by posting so much about my book? How do I try to explain what this book is about after I spent, I don't know, how long did it take me to write that book? 2 years, a year and a half, something like that. I spent that long creating this world and like expanding on this world. I tend to be very wordy on the page and in real life, as you can see. So for me, trying to distill an entire book down to its hooks and its catchy points and its great lines of dialogue and things that like will make someone else want to read it was really difficult. So making content about said book was also really difficult. And a couple months in, things were, I was getting some views here or there. I was kind of like attempting to grow an audience. People were kind of reading. And then like I just kind of fell off with posting. I let my inner chatter get to me, and I was just like, I feel weird. I feel like I'm bothering people. I don't really know if I should be pushing this book. Maybe I should just write a new one and like hope it takes off. And then right after that, my husband and I ended up moving. All kinds of things happened, and I kind of stopped working on social media altogether. And as you'll see when I get to my KDP dashboard, like the numbers just, not that they were very high to begin with, but they totally dip. And continued just descending pretty much until I released this last one in June of 2024. That was not planned to have the first book and the second book both released in June, 2 years apart. I wanted to be much faster at this. I wanted to have that second book out by... I always moved the goalpost. At first I was like, yeah, I'm gonna, by November. And then it was like, okay, by January. And then it was like, am I even writing anymore at all, or am I throwing the whole book away? On and on and on. Then 2 years later, poof, it finally existed. So yeah, it had actually gotten down to $0 in a month. Granted, I wasn't really posting at all, doing no marketing, and not making content in general. So no one knew I existed. And then I published the second one, and some numbers existed. Although they were not as high as the first, the numbers from the first release in that first month. So yeah, now I'm trying to figure out my social media strategy. I'm trying to figure out what else there is that I can do to find my audience and find my readers and find people who like the things that I write. And I will be honest about that, it is not easy. Everyone tells you it isn't easy, but then when you get into it, you realize like how much energy it takes, how much trial and error it takes, how much there is to test, and you realize 99.9% of the time you're getting it wrong. It really, that should be a video that I make in the future about how important it is to have your mindset right if you're going to be a creative of any type. But I will save that for another video. So yeah, that is something I'm thinking about right now, is how much of this online presence do I want to be purely social media driven? How much do I want my numbers and my visibility as an author connected to how much time I'm spending on social media platforms? And then also thinking about what other options are there that don't cost a lot of money to break into, because I am in no way at the top of my game with this just yet. So I don't really have the funds to invest to hope that they come back. So ads and things like that are kind of out of the picture. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, if I can show up on social in a way that doesn't feel slimy with like, please read my book, but also like I also want people to read my book. So striking a balance between showing up when I feel like no one really cares about who I am and what I'm trying to do, because literally nobody knows me at all enough to care, but also like me caring enough to show up in the first place and not let that not let the vanity numbers and the lack of visibility scare me away from doing the work that I want to do. So it's this like tightrope, just trying to stay in the game until something works kind of thing. At least that's what it's been so far. I might do a video in the future and all of this will be irrelevant because something has changed. I don't really know. But that's where I'm at right now. So enough blah, blah, blah. I'm going to show you my KDP dashboard. Okay, so if you are tired of seeing my face, lucky for you, it is just my KDP dashboard now. So this is the lifetime earnings for me. Now, it says February 4th, 2016 on there because I used to sell externals online back in my blogging days, but none of that is showing on this graph here. This is all romance novel earnings here. So this is a lifetime. This is 2 years of work right here. And a lot of people would be like, girl, give it up. Give it up. 2 years 2 years of a lot of work and effort and energy and learning. And, it costs a lot of money to create books, which is why I do a lot of the stuff myself. But yeah, that is the lifetime of it. And then they break it down per book here. So that's a lovely 14 hundo right there, if you want to be knocked off your socks. And then, what is this? Oh, okay, so this is from June 10th to August 7th, 2024. And this is from the time I published the second book to literally today. And the graph looks really interesting. I don't know if you guys like line chart or bar chart better. I think I like bar better, so we're going to leave it there. But it's been a lovely $137.80 for 2 months, which is, it's cool. People are reading, and that makes me very, very happy. But would I like it to be higher? Of course I would. I'm not going to lie. So the graph is doing really interesting things here. Now, when I first published it, I was getting some good days going on here. It was super exciting, and I was like, oh, this is the beginning. Like, cool. This is great. We're headed off in a great direction. And then I don't know what happened. Actually, I do know what happened. Around June 22nd here, things just took a nosedive. And what happened here is I stopped posting everywhere, really, but I stopped posting on TikTok, I stopped posting on Instagram. And you know what's really interesting from this? I don't know directly where the clicks and traffic and actual read-through is coming from, whether it's converting better on TikTok or Instagram, I couldn't say. But looking at this graph, I kind of have an inkling because... so I stopped posting altogether here, pretty much. I was just like, I think I got sick, and then my period came, and then my brain just kind of melted, and it was, 2 months of a lot of work and a lot of things going on, and I just needed a break. So I took one, and my numbers also took a break. And then probably a week in, I was like, ooh, I gotta do something about this. I need to get back on my game. I need to try to create community around the work that I'm doing and show up and offer something to the people. Be entertaining at least. So I started posting again, but only on TikTok because, I don't know, in my brain it's just easier, which probably isn't true, but I don't know. That's kind of, it feels more accessible, I guess. Because once I post on TikTok, then I have to do all of this extra work to get it on other platforms. So I gotta take it down with Snaptic and then put it on Instagram, come up with a new caption, figure out the new hashtags and try something else, and then take it from there and put it on YouTube. So I was like, if I could just get a video on TikTok and start getting in the habit of posting again, that'll be enough for now. But my numbers haven't really done much better. And my videos on TikTok don't really do very well. I am solidly in 200 to 300 view jail, with the occasional 1,000 view spike, maybe. Now, back when I first published, when I was getting decent numbers, I don't know if you can see this here, but it's, I didn't have my second book out, so all of these numbers are really from my first book, and I was having, $243 a month, $251 a month, really freaking cool numbers, but my videos were doing a lot better back then. Granted, TikTok was, in its kind of earlier infancy stages, and videos were kind of getting more traction. And now I don't know what my account is doing. It's tanking. And I'm probably just not hitting the right notes, I'm sure. if some expert were to come across my thing, they'd have a lot to say. But yeah, it is very telling that the dip has continued to be a dip. So I don't know if this will change when I go back to cross-posting all of my stuff all over everywhere, but we'll see. We will see. I think that's everything I wanted. I mean, that's all there is. What else is there to show you? This has been the last 2 months of my passion project, my heart and soul, my creative life force is worth $137.80. There you have it. Everything you've ever wanted to know. Right there. You've seen the numbers. They're so exciting. No, they're not. Yeah, so what's my plan for the future? I'm not quite sure. I guess I'm gonna study TikToks and like study what's working and see what trends are trending. If you can't tell, that doesn't really make me excited, which is why I'm doing what I've always wanted to do and making YouTube videos. I don't know if it'll convert. I don't really have high hopes for that. I should stop forecasting because I don't know what's gonna happen. But I'm doing YouTube because it feels creatively expansive. It feels like a place where I can be authentic and where I can speak, because it's what I like doing. I don't want to smush myself into 15-second bites, 8-second bites. I don't know. It doesn't really feel like what I want to do. I'll do it, but it's not creatively inspiring. So YouTube, but that's more for me. That's for fun. That's for expression. That's for creating a community of people who want to lift each other up while creating. And for people who want to see what that looks like in numbers, which is why I just showed you what I showed you. Because like the emoting, expressive, emotional, connected, inspired part of it is one thing, and then trying to turn it into a business is a whole other thing. And it's important to talk about both. So that's why I did this video. But yeah, plans for the future. I'm going to study TikTok. I'm going to figure out if I can crack the code for myself, because it seems like everybody's videos do differently. Like, you can hop on a trend that worked for somebody else and it might not work for you at all. So I'm going to try to be consistent with TikTok. I'm going to try to experiment with trends and see what works for me. And I'm just going to start talking to the camera more. I've been doing it, but it doesn't seem like it likes it very much. It's like 196 views. That's all you get. Of people who've already seen your stuff so many times. They really don't want you to post ever again because they're sick of it. So yeah, I'm experimenting there. I'm YouTubing it up here. And I'm working on a new book. So that's my approach so far. I'm not quite sure what else there is, honestly. If I think about that too long, I get kind of mopey. I don't want to be mopey. So we're just going to say that I'm open to all possibilities. And if you have suggestions, leave them in the comments for everybody else and myself so that we can learn from each other. Because this social media grind, it is gnarly. It's serious. And it's coming for blood, okay? I don't have much more blood to give. All I have is words. So I'm shutting up now. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, go create something, babe.